We got you.
Oh, there he is. How are you, Roger?
What's going on? How are you?
Not too much, man. How
How's
have you been?
Florida this
Been
morning?
good?
Yeah,
It's it's
everything's
uh
good.
it's nice here. It's nice.
Okay.
How about you? You're in California, right?
No, I'm not far from you. I'm in Alabama, North Alabama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm halfway, but I'm in Huntsville, halfway between Nashville and Birmingham.
Got you. Got you.
Yep.
Appreciate you having me.
Man, look, I appreciate your time. I know you are busy. You have a lot of things going on, so carving out time to talk with me, just want to say thank you.
Finally been able to make it happen. Finally able to make it
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. Yeah. So, hey, so let me set the context for
Yeah.
this, Diamyn. Um,
Go.
I'm interviewing my friends, talking about the topic of achieving greatness. So that is a
Go.
big topic, and it can go a lot of different ways. So, and it's on purpose because I really want people to think about that I talk to. What does achieving greatness mean to them? I've
Yep.
developed my own model just for my own athletic competition purposes. But I've talked to a friend of mine who is a former NBA mental skills coach for the Utah Jazz. I talked to another friend of mine who's an
Graham,
executive.
right?
Yeah, Graham. Uh,
Graham. He's the
another
man
friend
right
of
there.
mine, another friend of mine who's an executive coach over at NASA, but he's
Go.
a sports psychologist for LPGA and PGA golfers. Dr. Matt
Gotcha.
Park, who you may know, he's a JFK alum out in California.
Yep.
So I've talked to those guys, picked their brain, and just some unique things have come out of those conversations. But so that's the context.
Go.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up people that watch this video. I'm going to intro you, and then you fill in gaps. So
Sound
for
good.
those that don't know Diamyn Hall, Diamyn is a former Division I baseball player at Grambling, three-sport athlete in high school. Had a unique position with Wright State Division I baseball program, and that's what I want to pull on a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Many NCAA baseball teams, they have mental skills coaches. They bring guys
Mm-hmm.
on like us to work with teams. Many universities have sports psychologists within the athletic department.
Yep.
But Diamyn at Wright State, that was a unique position that I think it was a first time type of staff position.
Yep.
Within Division I sports, if not baseball. You were the director for peak performance and mental conditioning. And so fill in the gap on that with your bio, and let people know about the uniqueness of that position and what you did at Wright State.
Well, I think the credit there goes to definitely Jeff Mercer. He's not the head coach at Indiana University. We got together and we talked about putting together that position. We knew there was going to be a little bit of backlash. We knew there was going to be from the outside. We knew there was going to be there were going to be challenges that we were going to face. But his pioneer brain and my pioneer brain coming together and putting that together was, I think it was transformational because it opened up opportunities, for future possibilities like that to take place, and the results that we were able to see from the things that we put on the table for our guys were incredible.
Yeah.
And it's for me that the fulfillment piece comes from still hearing from some of those guys, and like Diamyn. Remember when we did this workshop? We talked about A, B, and C. I'm still in Double A, and I'm using those things.
Wow.
So yeah, really, the impact was there. We did it right, and yeah, it was awesome.
Awesome. All right. So we fast forward a little bit. You're an author. You wrote the book,
Yep.
basically a guide helping hitters, the Hitter's Black Book, the mental side of hitting.
Mm-hmm.
So people may not know that about you, but if they go to your website, they can buy the book. And
Yep.
then now you're with IMG in Florida. The
Oh yeah.
academy started back in March as a leadership coach and working with baseball players. So tell me how that kind of came
Yeah.
about.
That came about through relationship. I think that's one of the most important things that, if I could throw in this quick nugget, that we all have throughout the course of our life, not only as leaders, but as human beings, is our relationships. And while I was actually at Wright State, I had a conversation with Taryn, who's our VP of APD, and we tried to figure out a few things back then, but now the opportunity opened itself up, and here we are. So it's been an incredible experience so far.
Okay. First time in Florida? Because you're a Dayton, Ohio guy, So is this your first
Second
time
time in
going to
Florida.
this? Okay. How you dealing with the
Second
humidity?
time in Florida. So I was here last year.
Okay.
Lived in Melbourne.
Yep.
But being back, it's just, it doesn't get any better than this weather. And being by the beach every day,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Awesome. Hey, well, we're glad you're there. Appreciate all you do. Also, you coach Major League Baseball players,
Yep.
mental skills, also college, high school athletes, also an entrepreneur and a
Yep.
business consultant. So there's a lot of greatness that you're bringing
Absolutely.
to the world, things that are bigger than you. And you have that intrinsic drive to do something great. So take a step back. Um, you know, when you hear the word achieving greatness or the
Yeah.
phrase, and people want to achieve something great, let's talk about it. What does that mean to you? And maybe what are those conversations you have with high performing business people or athletes?
I think the consistent thing that I've found when it comes to achieving greatness is first starting off by defining exactly what greatness is for you, because it's different for everybody. For me, and what I've seen working with high level executives, business coaches, other entrepreneurs, high level athletes, in some way, shape, form, or some way, shape, form, or fashion, when you dig deep and we continue to ask these questions around what achieving greatness really means, it always comes back down to being people centric, meaning having an impact on other people's lives in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And when you study the best leaders in the world, whether it's in the business industry, whether it's in the sports industry, that's typically the end goal, the end result, right? Is to impact somebody's life. And a lot of times people ask me like, Diamyn, what's impact? Like, what does that mean? For me, it's a matter of leaving someone better than you found them,
Yeah.
leaving a situation better than you found it, leaving a circumstance better than you found it, leaving um, a culture better than you found it, leaving whatever it is in front of you better than you found it. And if we continue to operate like that, and if that is and eventually becomes what greatness means to all of us, I think a lot of changes could be made in the world, in business industries, different business industries, different sports industries, everywhere. And I think it's a continuously growing conversation.
Yeah. I love the fact that you bring out that it's people centric. Because a lot of times we put that goal on the wall and we go, I
Yeah,
want that. And then there's a lot of processes and steps to get there. And sometimes we forget the
absolutely.
people aspect of getting to there. Um, so I'm glad you pulled on that because that's really important. It's interesting. I saw an interview that Kobe Bryant did, unfortunately, before he had just passed away.
Yeah,
And the interviewer said, if you could go back and change one thing um, about just your career, what would you do? And he said, remembering the people side of leadership.
mm,
Because he said, when I first came into the league, I was very young. And my philosophy was either get on the train or get on the track. There was no in
yeah,
between. And he
yeah,
said, I forgot as a leader that people have lives outside of basketball. He's
absolutely.
like, so I would have embraced compassion and understanding
Mm,
a whole lot more and empathy. So I
absolutely.
just kind of throw that out and I just want you to react to it a little bit. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think when we all start out with our careers, that's it's typically where it does start, because there are two stages, well, two cycles of leadership that we're always kind of going back and forth with. One of those cycles is leading ourselves. How can we lead ourselves better?
Mm,
How can we level ourselves up? And then the other side of that is what we're talking about right now, which is how can we level up other people? How can we deploy empathy, deploy authenticity? Um, and like you said, recognize that, at the end of the day, everybody's a human being, and every human being has the same basic and core needs that we all operate from. The nervous system is the same. So I think when we do think along the lines that way, it puts us in a
yeah.
position to think outside of ourselves and focus more on other people.
Yeah. So leadership is transactional and transformational, right?
No,
Transformational because we are,
transformational.
yeah,
No trans.
transformational.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
We're transformational because we're changing people,
Right.
um, so, changing, making them better, want to make the culture better.
Yeah.
So maybe the right term is the transactional piece is really, okay, once I put that goal on the wall, what are the things I need to do in order to get there? So maybe we can call that managerial. Maybe we can put another bucket in there. But great leaders are transformational. They also know how to get results.
Yes.
So that's kind of the transactional piece. It's great to have a visionary, builds a great culture, builds people, but we need to be able to take action, get results, and move that needle forward. So when somebody comes to you and they start having these conversations, whether it's about this goal, achieving greatness, making themselves better, what's kind of that transactional piece you walk them through in order to get there?
In order to reach their goals, I typically, I typically don't focus on the transactional side at all. I focus on the transformational side because I
Interesting.
think when you focus on the transformational side, the transactional side will come on its own. Now, of course, they're going to have to be, depending on the conversation we're having, whether we're talking about business, whether we're talking about, consulting or something along those lines, the conversation is going to have to be had. But at the end of the day, even before that conversation does happen, the goal is how can I get this person on the other end of the phone results inside of their life, based on where they are. So I think it's definitely, you definitely always touch both, but if the scale is tipped over to the transformational side more, and you're focusing on that more, the transactions will always take care of themselves.
Yeah. So we got a comment on the chat from JT Schaefer too. He says, what about the
Oh,
process?
JT
So
knows the process is everything.
okay. So that's kind of what I'm pulling at. So talk about the process, Diamyn. Talk about the process.
There are so many different processes. Which processes do you want to hear about?
So I think about Nick Saban and how he popularized, the term process. He doesn't focus on wins or losses. It's, he doesn't have a results mindset. It's very much, let's tackle the next 60 seconds in this play, the next 60 seconds in my life. Those kind of things, because, working the process, the results seem to happen naturally. So that's kind of the process piece I'm looking at.
The process for me is everything. I'm somebody who enjoys the process of being able to give, who enjoys the process of being able to contribute, develop, creating an environment where people feel like they can be heard, seen, respected. And when you do that and when you focus on those things consistently, it does you fall in love with it, right? And it's fulfilling at the end of the day. And I feel like that's the process. If you're not in love with the process, then once you hit those milestones and those results, that's going to only be temporary. But the best leaders in the world, I mean, if we study and we go back and look at different interviews, whether it's Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, who do we have? Bill Gates, entrepreneurs, athletes, like they all love the process. And as a high performer, we love the process. It's just what we have to continuously focus on. So for me, when I first hear the process, I think about the process I have every morning to set me up for success during the day, right? So I wake up in my strategic meditation, gratitude journal. What am I excited for? What am I grateful for inside of my body, my mind, my relationships? So that's inside of the mind. And kind of to give you context with this, there are 4 different categories of life that I've kind of discovered, and that I kind of operate by, right? So you've got your mind, you've got your body, you've got your relationships, and then you've got your career. Inside of your mind, you've probably heard me. We've had a conversation about this before. With your mind, it's a matter of how can I up-level my mind continuously to where when I'm inside of the game of chaos, I can become calm. How can I put myself in a position where at the end of the day, my mental skills are at a high level, even as a leader, right? So, and then the same thing goes with your body. If your body's not on point, then how do you expect to be able to get from point A to point B, wherever it is you want to go? So tapping into the green smoothies. The green smoothies. Everybody knows I'm adamant about the green smoothies because it's for me, it's like the consistency piece.
Yeah.
I know that if I'm consistent with that every single morning, a conversation around, something else that I can do to up level my nutrition or my fueling game, I'm going to be wide open to it because I'm consistently focusing on my greens every morning, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much more behind that, but also the fitness game. Did you sweat? Did you move? Did you train? Our bodies are meant to be moved. They're meant to be um, they're meant to be trained so that we can win this game of life every day, right? So I hit those two things, and then also with the relationships piece, um, I find two people in my contacts I can send a message to, just letting them know how grateful I am for them, or maybe empowering them in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Um, and what that does for me is it's a habit that I think can sometimes go uh, unappreciated. The responses I get sometimes from the people who I send a text message to or call, it's incredible. Like, oh man, this made my week. This made my day. And I think as leaders, this is something we have to continuously practice. And of course, inside of the business, inside of the career side, how can I up level my business, whether it's in the advertising, marketing, sales, systems, fulfillment, um, and with the career, what projects do I have in front of me? Well, where are my
Yeah.
people at? Where are we with our process, right? How can we up level our game? So mind, body, relationships, career. When you focus on
I
those
love
four
it.
things continuously, um, the world will open up, your mind will open up, um, and you'll be able to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I love it. So what I'm hearing is an intentional process daily,
Yep.
with an intentional target, career, relationships. Um, it's interesting. We as humans, I think we love consistency and predictability. Now that doesn't all, the environment doesn't always allow that,
Yep.
but I think there is a certain amount of us that, even for those that really like the new and something different and love the, different stimulation, there's a piece of us that kind of likes a little bit of predictability to know what we're going to do, have a plan.
Yep.
And then as we develop these skills that you're talking about, when something that's unpredictable happens, we have a process in place to manage it and handle it. It may throw us a little bit, but the more we practice it, it helps us center and come and kind of rewrite our ship. Um, am I kind of pulling on that and hearing kind
Yeah.
of what you're saying a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That makes sense. For me, it's a matter of winning the morning. When I win the morning,
Winning the morning.
uh, when I dominate the morning, I know that whatever happens throughout the course of the day, especially through the meditation process in the morning, whatever happens throughout the course of the day, whether some kind of chaos hits, whether something unexpected happens, whether a difficult conversation needs to be had, um, you set yourself up to succeed. And some people sometimes are like, "Diamyn, well, what about when I meditate at night?" It's not the same as when you get in the habit of meditating in the morning, because that process just sets you up for success throughout the course of the day. So I agree with everything that you just said.
Okay. So let's go back to, think about high performers that you've worked with, sports or
Yeah.
business.
Okay.
Um,
Which one?
what
Got a preference?
I don't,
Okay.
because it's funny. I think the characteristics of high performers translate both ways.
I
And what
agree.
I mean by that is a lot of times the things I see athletes doing really, really well, I see business leaders doing really, really well.
Yep.
Because I think greatness doesn't discriminate. Um, so
Mm.
when you see those high performers, what are some of the things that you see them doing that allow them to be great?
They're always learning.
Okay.
Always. Most of the high performers, I'd say 98% who I've ever worked with, consider themselves as lifelong learners, including myself. And then on top of that, they consider themselves as lifelong achievers as well.
Mm,
Yeah. And then the third stage is considering themselves as lifelong givers, lifelong contributors. So whenever I
yeah.
learn something new,
Man,
that's
that
absolutely
one
vital.
gave me some chill bumps right there. Lifelong givers. Um,
Yes.
man, that's hot. Pull on that. Dig into that one a little bit, because that's something you don't hear a lot. Because
Yep.
I think when we say, "Hey, what are the things that high performers are doing?" and it's like wins and awards and this and that, it's always a result. It seems to be, I don't like to use those kind of words, but it seems we gravitate towards the awards and the stats and those kind of things. And we don't get into the intrinsic stuff, which is I'm a lifelong giver. So pull on that. I want to get your take on that a little bit more.
So one of my mentors, he gave me a book a few years ago called The Go Giver. And it talked about essentially, yeah, just being a contributor, like treating the way that, I'm sure for people who are on here right now, we've played sports at some moment in time. And when we're inside of that sport, when we're inside of the arena during a game, we want to win the game. So taking that same mentality inside of giving to other people and contributing to other people, contributing to the people you come across every single day, whether they're in close proximity to you or they're not in close proximity to you. And taking that same mindset, like how can I give more to the people who are around me? What can I do to give to them, to add value to their life, to contribute to their life? And literally treating that and approaching that with a how to explain it, with an achiever mindset, right?
Yeah.
And when you do
I
that,
want to be the greatest at giving. Right?
Right,
I want to
which
be a
we
high
know is not like,
performer
it's
at
not like,
giving.
yes. And think about if our society were to shift that way and people inside of leadership shifted that way.
Yeah.
To man, how can I give more today? And for me, once I started operating that way, it became a habit. And it's the most fulfilling thing that you can possibly do, because throughout the course of life, the one thing that's going to always be consistent and always has been consistent is human beings, people.
Yeah.
And the most fulfillment that you hear from high performers, whatever age they're at, is the most fulfillment that they get probably wasn't from achieving a specific goal. It was the process, and inside of that process probably had a lot to do with the people who they had the opportunity to achieve it with. So I think it's
Yeah.
all people centric.
Yeah. I love that. So lifelong learner. What was the
Yep.
second one?
Lifelong achiever.
Lifelong achiever, and then lifelong giver.
Yep.
That's hot. All right. So anything else that sort of stands out to you as you work with high performers that they do that's different from others besides those three that you can think of?
Definitely the intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
That's always consistent. What else? I think all high performers in some way, shape, form, or fashion either have high level mental skills or work on their mental skills at a high level.
Yeah.
Both. And they're always looking and searching and seeking ye shall find, right? How they can become a better leader, whether it's inside of their team, whether it's within themselves, whether it's within their family, all of those areas.
Yeah. Well, this interview has not disappointed. I knew reaching out to you to pull on this was going to be exceptional. So I love all the stuff that you've brought. A lot, man, a lot to think about. So thinking about kind of the four quadrants of our life and how we can be exceptional in those areas. The lifelong learner, lifelong achiever, lifelong giver. That intrinsic motivation that says, man, I'm doing something greater than myself, which always impacts people, being people centric.
Mm-hmm.
This has been great. These interviews are 23 minutes, intentional by the number, right? When we think of 23, we think of some of the greatest in the world.
Absolutely. Unpack that for the followers
What's
who
that?
are in here right now. I said, if you can, unpack that for the followers who are in there right now, that thought process.
Okay, so the thought process, when it comes to achieving greatness and keeping these interviews at 23 minutes, it's the number that Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan wore, right? And so when we think of those high performers, they kind of set the bar. Now when we look across all sports, you have, like, back in my day, the Roger Clemens was a dominant pitcher. Wayne Gretzky in the NHL. When we look at modern day, it's the LeBron James, it's the Tom Brady, Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, all these guys. But it's funny how 23 has sort of transcended sport and you see people from all sports wearing that number because of just the um, phenomenal things that they did, within their sport to achieve greatness. So, that's kind of the insider trading on the 23.
Love it. Love it.
And that's why I set it up that way. And one, it's to respect everybody's time. I know everybody's busy,
Yeah.
but it really does. It kind of focuses our mind to go, okay, here's the time frame. Let's knock it out. And it keeps us on track, and it keeps us kind of wandering, and it keeps the people listening and watching engaged as well. So, hey, Diamyn, I appreciate your time. I love what you unpacked. And I look forward to our journey together, and would love to reconnect and talk to you again one day.
Always.
All right.
Reach out.
Yep. Have a Power Mental Performance Day, Diamyn. I know you will.
Will do. You too, Rob.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yep. Take care.
Yep.